Shields up, Iron Breakers. Rurikhan here coming at you with another episode of the Third Fleet Podcast. This is episode 58. And in case you missed our special episode last week, guys might be thinking, special episode? There was no episode last week because YouTube does not notify. YouTube doesn't really do notifications. But we did a special episode which I uploaded to my second channel. And we talked exclusively about Final Fantasy XIV. There's spoilers in there as well. So do not listen. Do not listen to it unless you've already finished the game. I mean, there's a part in the beginning that's kind of like a little bit safe, like the first half hour or so. But even still, we give you good warnings. Like, listen, there's going to be spoilers. So in that episode today, no spoilers whatsoever. We're going to be talking a little bit about Monster Hunter, a little bit about Elden Ring. But Gaijin is also on a time constraint. So today it's going to be a little bit of a shorter show. But Gaijin, how you doing, dude?
I'm doing good. How about you?
I have been stretched beyond any belief this week. It's been insane. Here. Pretty much since the release of Elden Ring, which I thought that by now I would have finished the game. And I don't think I'm anywhere close. I think last time I checked the clock, it was like 39 hours or something like that on my main save. I mean, I've played a little bit on PS5 as well to test that out as well. But on my main save, 39 hours, give or take, as of the recording of this podcast. About 26 episodes of the Let's Play recorded, and still tons and tons and tons of things to go.
Well, our main save, because Yuna's playing it, but I'm also playing it with her. We're taking turns, so to say. Because the game does get a little exhausting for us, because she's like me. In that it's so open world, it's not open world. Well, it is open world. It's so open though that it gets a little exhausting, constantly trying to figure out your next, because the game's not giving you objectives as much as you have to find your own. Luckily, exploration is always like super rewarding, which is really good. But this is like taking a major game and doing that, and just taking every major function and feature in the game and putting them as hidden items around the world is a bold move that only From Software could get away with, because they have a reputation for it. But it makes it so that exploration is required, but also encouraged and heavily rewarded. You find good stuff all the time.
The game tells you what the beeline is, basically. It's like, hey, just followed little guidance of grace. And
I want to actually call that out. Everybody keeps telling me, because I made a tweet the other day saying that I love the game. I think it's absolutely fantastic. And I'm playing on Xbox Series X. Performance for us is great. I mean...
Really? So there's no performance issues on Series X?
I mean, if you want to look at all the... it goes between 40 and 50 FPS or whatever, like the reports, like if you want to do technical testing, I'm sure there's tons of issues.
Okay.
But as far as the user experience of just picking it up and playing it, and then do I notice it lagging or jagging or anything? Nothing. The only thing I would say is that the load times are a little bit longer than I would have expected, and I think that's due to them optimizing the PlayStation version, which makes sense because
the load times are longer than you would expect. Really?
Oh yeah. Well, they're longer than PS5 by a good shot.
Yeah, well, one of the things I've noticed is I actually think that it loads faster on my PS5 than on my PC. And on my PC, I have an NVMe drive, which I was like,
okay.
It's
called optimization. Like I don't think some people understand that the machines are more than capable of running the game. The problem is that you optimize for one SKU when you're developing. Generally, if you're a Japanese developer, where in the West, going multi-plat is more of a norm for AAA studios. So,
you're
Xbox
thinking
doesn't exist here in Japan. So, given their tool set, given their history, given their experience, given everything, considering, of course, they optimized it for PlayStation 5, and it seems like they did a good job.
There was a network test on Xbox as well, though, right?
There was, yeah. But, I mean, that's just testing servers. That's not optimizing game code or how it's utilizing the threads and all that kind of stuff. So, but it's great. I mean, I have no complaints.
Here's the interesting thing. Having played both the PC and the PlayStation 5 version, it's weird because I find that both of them have performance issues. Like, I noticed that frame pacing thing that you mentioned a lot more than I ever noticed on any Souls game, where it's like every now and then I can tell, okay, there's a couple of frames that were missing here. It is like, it's not terrible. The PC version has a worse problem, which is like, whereas the PlayStation has that thing with the frame pacing, the PC just straight up like every now and then, hey, here's a chunky.
Yeah, I saw videos on that. I'm like, oh my gosh, because it's.
Did you see Carnage?
It doesn't matter how. It doesn't matter how powerful your PC is. It's just bad code. It's just they need to fix it.
It's actually funny because like there's there's always the people that are like, oh, runs fine on mine. Yeah, of course, on some it's gonna run okay, but obviously the great majority of people, it's not running good for them, and it's definitely a problem. I talked about it on a video recently because I do think it's a problem. Like even today when I was recording, I was fighting a boss. And the frame rate was giving me so many problems. I mean, it's not the frame rate. It's like when you turn the camera a certain way and it just like dips to 15 FPS. And it was actually making it hard for me to dodge the boss because of that. Like I wasn't able to hit the invincibility frames because of the fact that I was losing frames. It's like I can't.
Hey, you know what? I think the console wars are stupid, and the discourse on Twitter has been so exhausting.
Jesus
and I've been
Christ,
I've been so tempted to throw what do you call it, oil on the fire, just to be a troll. But I have to realize, no, trolling is not good, so I didn't. But I'll do it here because it's funny. I just read the other day that PlayStation users have not been able to see bloodstains in animations for a few days.
I've been playing offline, so I don't see those anyway.
Xbox got all the bloodstains.
It's like
we've never had an issue.
I
think the servers are like getting bombarded because most people are playing on PlayStation because that's where they've sort of brought up their base, and that's where they advertise the most. So of course,
it's like I actually think that I wish there was a way to, not for me right now, because I'm going to be, my first playthrough of a Souls game, I always go offline because I like to take my time and explore. And because the developers themselves, they also leave messages in the ground. So it's like, if you're in multiplayer, there is a way to tell, but it's like, I don't know. At this point, I don't remember exactly what is the way, but there's a way to tell if a message is from a player or from a developer. But basically, I like seeing the stuff that developers leave behind. So like, for instance, today as I was just like exploring something random, I'm not going to go into specifics. There's not going to be spoilers here, guys. But it's like I was exploring something random and I saw a blood pool. And that's something that supposedly only happens in multiplayer. But because I saw it, I clicked on it. And I know that it was left there by the developers on purpose. And now I know a certain character that, met with a cruel fate in that specific spot. And I was like, that's cool. I don't know if that was the first time that they did that, but I was like, that is cool. The fact that I can go in there offline and there's a blood stain for a character that I know, and it indicates something that happened to that character there.
So what's interesting for us is that was playing the game because she knows that I've been playing Final Fantasy. So I moved the Xbox Series X into the living room for her to play it. And this gained a lot of buzz, obviously, here in Japan. She's like, I want to get on the train. I'm like, sure. So I bought it for her, and I was happy that on Xbox, at least, I was able to get. They did a weird thing where they didn't have Japanese interface in the English international version, and in the Japanese version, they didn't have English interface, and so because she doesn't speak English, it's so dumb. I think it's because. In Japan, the game costs $90, and in the West, it costs like $70, so or whatever. So like it's a pricing thing. But the cool thing is with Xbox, because that's my primary, and she's the sub. Anything I buy, we can have on both of our consoles just fine.
Yeah.
So I buy the game on the English store. I just switch over to Japan in her account, and it says, "Okay, download Japanese version. You already own this."
Oh, nice.
Okay, cool. So I was able to download it, so I didn't have to buy it twice, which is cool.
Okay.
But she, for the first day and a half, they didn't have online working, just because of the rollout.
Oh
of the
yeah,
everything.
I've heard that was a problem. Like I think on PlayStation 5, everything was working day one, but I'm not exact. Like I said, I've been playing offline. I did.
Well, the time zone thing was weird. Like when were they gonna? Like, 'cause it was on sale here for half a day before they even turned the servers on.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing about like when things get released. I actually had a bit of a conversation with someone in my comment section about that because that people get upset over the fact that some content creators get early access to the games and stuff like that, and
Yeah.
and they were telling me like, okay, so if you shouldn't release your let's plays until like the game comes out and all of this stuff. And I was explaining to them that like when I release my let's play, the game technically is out.
Yeah.
It's out in New Zealand or some
I
other.
have to say, there was a lot of people digitally traveling to New Zealand
exactly.
that night.
A lot of people went. I've heard from people that on Steam they went to New Zealand to
I don't know
get
how it
started
is on
Elden Ring.
PlayStation. Maybe it's just as easy, but on Xbox, you just change your region to New Zealand and boom, you're in.
I remember that PlayStation's a pain in the ass. Like you actually need to get like a New Zealand account, and then you need to buy it on New Zealand. Yeah, it's a nightmare. You can't.
And Switch is a pain in the ass too because you have to change your region. And there's only a few times you can do that.
Yeah,
I think so. Yeah, you have to make another account. But Xbox, you just change the console region, do a quick reset, and boom, you're there. And you can even access the store. So I can toggle between Japan stores, U.S. stores on the same account. It doesn't matter. So
that's
like
really good.
we have Game Pass.
That's
we have
the
Game
way
Pass
that
in Japan.
That's the way that everybody should
and I want
do
a
it.
US game. I just switch my region and boom.
Yeah, but I think that in general, like developers should just adjust so that hey, listen, this comes out. If it comes out on midnight New Zealand, then it comes out for everybody. Just like stop this because Although I should also mention that I'm not a big fan of the way that gaming culture has kind of like evolved to this like give it to me now, give it to me right now. Because like that's the reason, like in case people are wondering, that's the reason why content creators have to, upload the second that they're allowed, because that is the gaming culture. Like everybody wants the stuff right now, right this second, give it to me. People were asking for Elden Ring, for so friggin' long when there weren't any news. They're like, oh, give us news, give us something. And I was like, nah, dude, let it sit in the oven. Let it just like take its time. As a matter of fact, it seems like maybe it could have stayed there for a couple of more months to iron out all of these performance issues, because that's basically going to be a stain. Because like if you think about the discourse of Elden Ring like 5 years from now, sure, there's going to be a lot of people that are going to be like, dude, that game was amazing, right? Like remember all the good memories. But there's going to be some people like, what are you talking about, man? Look at the performances. Game ran like ass, dude. It's like, what the hell? And
so I don't know. Maybe my eyes are bad, or maybe I'm lucky, but the performance has been great for us, and that comes from someone. Remember, I was really jarred by the network test here because it was. So it's better for you now. Well, the thing is, I think I did the network test on PlayStation.
Yes,
I think, and the frame pacing issue was so predominant for me that it was detracting from my experience. Now I'm playing the Xbox, and I don't think the Xbox has a different. I think it has the same issues. I don't think it's the VRR, because we're playing it on the TV, and that's not HDMI 2.2. That's 2.1.
Okay, because that's what I heard. I heard that the VRR was doing miracles for Elden Ring. And
VRR in general, when I have it on my monitor, which does support 2.2, oh my god, it's like you don't notice any frame dips ever, because it just smooths. The monitor can smooth it out for you. But we're playing on the TV, which is just a crappy Sony TV. I hate the fact that I have a Sony TV.
God damn, Gaijin, please, not this again.
Yeah, so, but I was gonna mention, like,
listen, I'm actually gonna be on a PlayStation show tomorrow, dude.
Okay, well, fine. I'll give some PlayStation 5 is my most played console of 2022 so far.
Hey, there you go. Hey. Got to take the W's where you can, man.
Exactly. So anyway, I'm dialing back to like 10 minutes ago, but the thing I wanted to mention was, for the first day and a half, Yuna enjoyed the game and she thought it was cool. And there was a few. She likes the like big derpy bosses. Like, I won't talk about who they are, but like anytime there's a mob that's like really derpy and big and kind of like, she gets affection towards them, and she names them, and she doesn't want to kill them. And she's had a true gamer moment. I can mention this, but when you first start the game, like they had this in the network test, right? There is a boss that's right there in the very front. that kind of reminds you, hey, this is a From Software's game and you can't just run anywhere you want. You're not always safe. Her first comment was, "It's so beautiful. I don't want to kill it." And then it quickly changed into,
"I hate him.
I want to kill it.
I want to
No. I love him. I want to kill him and get the stuff that he has."
I want to steal his lunch money.
Well, actually, she's like, "Can I steal the mount?" I'm like, "No, I don't think so." But she took it down. I was out just buying her.
Oh wow! Did she level up at all before she did that, or did she just like one?
No, she I mean, that's before I started playing, because you know me, I'm a power leveler.
Yeah.
So you know, like what I'm doing in FF right now is unhealthy. So before I got my hands on the game and did some power leveling, which I'll be honest, has not been that helpful for us because we're playing the same character, which means we're fighting over which stat to increase, which means our stats are all over the place.
No, but
I think we only have 21 health, 21 or something like
that's
vitality.
A lot.
It's really low.
That's actually a lot.
We're 30 hours in the game and we're level 66.
Yeah, I'm like level. I think I'm about 50 something now, but I'm also like at 20 something in vigor. It's not.
Yeah, we've only put like 3 points. We didn't touch it.
But
she started with an intelligence build, and then she's like, I want to go to strength because I got this thing that I want to use. I'm like, oh my god. So she's like, Dad, power level, do something. So in one night we went from level 33 to 55. So
you need to spoil yourself on where to get the respec thing, which I still haven't come across, but I know it. I know
where it is.
Okay.
Yeah. But we haven't even hit the second major boss in the game, so to say.
Me neither.
We're 30 hours in. Yeah. There's so much to do. But anyway, sorry, I'm so sidetracked. But what I wanted to say was, she liked the game, she was enjoying it, but you can sort of feel when someone's interest is starting to wane a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, when you watch them, and her interest was starting to wane a little bit. I think it's because, and I do want to get to this point about the objectives, but I want to make this other point first, which is once the servers turned on day 2, that evening, and she was able to start seeing messages and bloodstains, the game blossomed. It was like one of those night flowers that would never bloomed, and then all of a sudden, and she's like, oh my god, it's like Twitter tied to physical locations. I'm like, that's a really good way of thinking about it, because people are making a post on specific locations, and then you upvote it, downvote it. And I don't know about the Western servers because we're playing in Japanese, but like, there's no lewd comment. We have never run across a lewd comment like, butt finger, tri finger, butthole, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like we haven't had anything like that. But the comments aren't. It's basically a contest of who can be the most witty person, because I think when people like it, you get healed. So like you can be in a boss fight and you get healed as people are liking your comment.
Yeah,
that's what I read, something like that. I don't know the actual
in previous Souls games, it was like that. If someone would upvote, you would either get healed or get a flask.
They're so funny that she just likes. She pretty much plays the game by running towards the next comments and reading them all, and then and then when it looks down and sees a bunch of blood stains, she's like, okay, better heal up. Yeah. And you go down there and it changed the game like completely for her, and she's like, this is really fun.
It's funny.
So that's the killer feature that got her.
It's funny to see, to hear about the experience from someone experiencing that particular mechanic fresh in 2022, when the first time that I experienced that was like 2008 or something like that, back on the PlayStation 3 with Demon's Souls. And back then I was like, this is amazing. You can see messages, bloodstains. And now it's like, I look at that, right, in Elden Ring, and I'm like, that's spoilers. I don't want to know that you're going to die there. I want to figure that out for myself and get killed over there and just like figure it out.
Well, the thing is there's so many trolls that you don't know. Like, people are constantly warning you about stuff that doesn't happen. And there's people who don't warn you about stuff that is going to happen. Yeah. And then when you get past the trap, there's comments of people saying I was lied to, or like there's all these like people spending their comments to comment about, and it's really funny. It's like an echo chamber. You're like, oh man, they went through it too. And just it's a wit contest, so people are really creative in what they write, and they're really funny. And so she's totally addicted to that.
That's always kind of been the case with the Souls community in general, with all of the Souls games, and I love that aspect of it. But it's like, for me, the first playthrough, I like to be in isolation. I'm like, I want to be all alone. Yeah. I don't want to hear anything, nothing, zero. And
so here's a question for you, because I noticed that the Japanese community and the English community do the same jokes in general, at least the tasteful ones. Why? And I looked this up to make sure that this wasn't an Elden Ring thing. This is a Souls thing, apparently. Okay. Why is there people, both languages do this, why is there so many people saying there's a dog ahead when there's like a dragon or something? Why does everyone keep using this, like, oh, watch out for dog, but it's a dragon, or it's a giant, or it's like,
I don't know.
They're calling everything a dog, and I'm like, what? And then I looked it up on Google, and they're like, I guess that's a thing.
I don't know. I haven't really seen that message that often, but it might be because you know that you actually can't write a message. Like, they give you presets of what you can type. You haven't laid down a message yet?
No.
Yeah, so what happens is they give you a combination of words that you can choose. They don't let you actually type whatever the hell you want.
Then how the hell are people getting so creative? Like, there's so...
Yeah, exactly.
I thought everyone was writing them because there's so many hilariously fun, well put together messages.
I haven't seen what the system is like on this one, because like I said, I'm not playing multiplayer, but like in previous Souls games, the way that you do is like, they give you, like, for instance, they give you a list of topics almost, which can be like location or enemy type or something. And maybe doing beware of dog might just be one of the fastest ways of warning people that there's danger ahead. And that might be why they do it. But it's like, I remember specifically, because the one that I would always use would be the illusory wall, because in Dark Souls, I would know where all the illusory walls were.
Oh,
so I would be running through.
Yeah, that's in
So
Japan.
I would be running through, and I would be like, okay, there's one here, and there's no message here today, so I'm just going to leave my message down here so that people know that there's an invisible wall here. But I've heard that in Elden
now
Ring...
everyone's putting it...
Yep.
Oh my God, it's the opposite. They're trolling everybody. They're saying, hit the wall, and there's nothing. Or there's a secret here, and all you see is bloodstains of people who have jumped to their death, and it's like, oh, come on. You're baiting everybody into it. You're so horrible.
That's how it works. And then it's like the best part about it is, like, you know that you have like, it's the duality of the player base, right? Which is like, you have half of the people who are going to go like, that's a good troll, I'm going to hit like.
Yeah.
And then you have the other half of people who are like, God damn it, this bastard lied to me, and I'm going to hit this like. So if you see a message that is like halfway, you're just like, I don't know who's winning.
Yeah, well, Yuna likes every message that's witty or trolly, that's funny, which means that she's just running around the game giving likes, which is really funny.
Yeah. I've seen something happen which I find very interesting, which I don't know if you saw the tweet from Jason Schreier, where he said he advised people like have a notepad handy or something, because the game does not have, unlike all the other open world games, there's no quest list. And I'm personally, I'm happy about it. It's like, there's no quest list. There's no like quality of life features for you to track what is happening in the world. And so Jason Schreier was, telling, hey, maybe try to keep a notepad handy. And apparently there were a bunch of people that were upset about it. They were just like, Matt, they're like,
Twitter,
what do you
mean?
What do you mean? This game sucks. There's no objective thing to follow and all of this. And let me just tell you my take on that whole thing, which is like, for every Souls game, or in this case, let's say for every Elden Ring, there's probably literally a million open world games that do exactly what you want. That do exactly what these people are asking for, which is like, hey, here's your quest list. Here's your to-do list for the day. Here's all the chores that you got to go do, and go do them. Here's all the markers in the map for everything that you got to go do, for all the little activities in the theme park, and
you
can go do
Final
them.
Fantasy.
Yes, Final Fantasy does this as well. And it's like, I think that's fair game. If that's what people are looking for, like I said, there's like, look, there's a million games that do exactly that.
Two flavors. Yeah,
and
you can have more than one flavor.
And Elden Ring doesn't. And personally, I love that about it.
The polar opposite.
Because here's the thing that a lot of people, I feel like, don't understand, and that is that Elden Ring has always been something that is interpreted by the community. So there's a bunch of...
Yeah.
By Elden Ring, I mean like the Souls franchise as a whole. It's always been something that the community comes together to figure out. And it's like this big puzzle that everybody is talking about it. Although nowadays people do it much, much faster. And probably if you look up like a database online, all of the items are probably already figured out. I wouldn't even be surprised. But it's like, it is a community effort of people coming together and like, hey, I found this thing over here. I found that thing over there. I found the other thing over there. Here's the outcomes of this quest and all of these things, right? And I think that...
Yeah, did you know you don't even have to kill this boss? You could just go around it. I'm like, what? They have so many... It's so open, like extreme openness to the point that, yeah, I could say because they've put so much in every little nook and cranny, and they don't distinguish between subquests and main quests because they're all significant in some way. That, yeah, it does bring me back to high school days in the...
Dungeons and Dragons
in like 90s of like, no, just the whole idea of like, until Nintendo Power came out that month and there was an official tip, guide for like websites and stuff. Like it was, playground or behind, after school hours sharing, talking with friends about, oh my God, I found this sword. Where'd you find it? And over here. And then, sharing the secrets and the community coming together. It's almost the anti-YouTube way of doing it because YouTube is that, but to an extreme, right? It's like, I'm going to give you the location of every legendary weapon in this game. And you're like, I don't need to know all of that right now.
And YouTube is already
if you have a friend circle, it's great.
YouTube is already like filled with stuff like that. I almost wish that, people would not post all of that stuff immediately. But it's like, if you go on YouTube, it's already like, oh, here's where you can get like all of the upgrade shards that you could possibly need. Here's where you can get weapon X. I've already had a bunch of weapons spoiled for me because it just pops up on YouTube. I'm not even looking for it. I might be looking at a completely unrelated video and it's like, hey, here's how to find this weapon. I'm like, okay, I guess. I mean, some of the weapons I expected to be there. One area where me and you are like,
one of the areas where me and you are complete opposites is that you... Out of those two flavors of ice cream, and I think they're very different and they're very cool. Yeah. Like they're just very different. I don't want to say lived experiences, but like the feeling of playing the game is different, right? When you're thrown into a wilderness and just told like, yeah, go walk around, see what there is to do. And then there's a game that's like, okay, here's the main story, here's the subquest, and I love both. And people are going to fall into one area. They might hate one and love the other, and they might love both. They might hate both. Whatever. I fall in the camp that I appreciate both, but I highly prefer the more hand-holded experience because I get lost and overwhelmed very fast, and I like having goals, like being told to do this. So me, I'll look up guides, and I don't like getting lost. It could be an anxiety thing. I don't know. So I
did you see my guide? Because I did a spoiler-free guide. It was so good. I was so happy.
I think so. I usually watch all your stuff.
I'm sad now.
I usually watch all your stuff. I consume so much stuff I don't even know who I'm watching at times.
I'm joking, dude.
But so like I'll look up stuff, and we bought in Japan. They have a thing where strategy guides as a printed media is still a thing here. Yeah, which is nice. And so they do these things on day one. They come out with starter guides, which is it's only the first half of the game. It doesn't give you like huge spoilers. There's many things it doesn't talk about. For example, the one for Elden Ring is like 200 pages, and they only ever talk about the Storm Castle.
200 pages on Stormvale?
No. Of all the areas, and then they don't go into any really great deal outside of the starting area and the starting dungeon. But they give you a lot of information about the game, and it's fun. But it's in a way where it's not that spoilery. It's not going to be like the entire guide. They save that for months later, on purpose probably, and also I think production would be hard to pull off that fast. But so I'll look up that stuff, and so I think I made a tweet, and I see comments about this though everywhere on other people's tweets about I don't know what I'm doing, I'm lost, and the game literally tells you where to go next. And there seems to be this really weird dunking culture of like the game literally points you in the direction you're supposed to go to progress. You're an idiot. Journalist
it's
mode.
like,
but the thing is like that's not true. And I want to actually give a counter argument to one. Yes, the game does point you in the right direction of saying, hey, in this area, the general progression is that way.
it's not necessarily the right direction. The game points you to relevant story points.
Yeah.
The game points you towards the critical path, which might not be the best way for progression because, there are things that might happen. You might find yourself in certain locations that are maybe a little bit above your capabilities, and the game's still just going to, yep, next boss, right this way.
Well, and the thing is the game very quickly will point me straight to a locked door. And I'm like, thanks. That doesn't help me very much.
That hasn't happened to me yet.
Oh, it's happened to me twice.
Interesting.
And it's just pointing me into a sealed door, and I'm an idiot, so like they probably gave me a hint and I missed it. But it's like, I don't know how to get in here. But it's telling me this is where I need to go. Thanks, buddy. And so like I think it's a good system they have there. It is nice that they point you in the general direction. But then again, this world is littered with interesting things. So, like, you can just pick a random direction and walk straight, and you're going to find something significant. So, I don't know whether or not you actually needed the golden trail to tell you where to go.
I think you do. I think you do because...
It's nice that it's there, but I don't think it's a solve all.
It's not a solve all, but it's like it tells you where the critical things are. And I think it is nice that it's there because... Otherwise, who would have known, like, say, if they didn't know about the game, who would have known that Stormvale Castle was the first thing? There's another castle looks just like it down the road. It's not as big, but there's another castle there. You might as well be like, hey, maybe that other castle is the one that I'm supposed... Is this the Stormvale that people have been talking about? It's like, that's the thing. So I think it's important that the golden stuff is there, for sure.
Yeah. But it is really funny when you realize what they consider critical and what is not, because... There's like entire game mechanics and systems that are huge that they don't point you to, that you just, oh, this was hidden underground. What the heck? This is like a major part of the game's functionality. Okay. But I mean, it's a good thing, right? It's a double blade sword. If you don't like the open, like you have to explore type of idea, then it's kind of stressful. But if you explore, you're going to find something good every time. Like you're not going to come up empty handed. There's always something good.
Yeah.
So, I like it. It's just maybe it wouldn't be my cup of tea, but it doesn't mean that I don't appreciate it and I dislike how they did it. I think how they did it works perfect for Elden Ring. It feels right.
I've been seeing a lot of people, particularly it seems like quite a few streamers. And, obviously people then start dunking on them. It's like, this streamer doesn't know how to, just like jumping on the bandwagon and all. And it's like, I would like people to understand something. Like other people coming in and jumping in on something that you happen to have enjoyed long before them. This is a good thing. It's like,
a very good thing.
Like I've always made it a point of my videos of trying to being as welcoming as possible to literally anything that I play so that more people play it, so that the people working on the things that I like get more money to make better things. This is why we have Elden Ring, because there's a lot of people that, like me, try to welcome more people into Souls. Like, no, come over. The water is great. People are telling you it's hard. It's not that hard. Trust me, you'll get it. It's, gambare and all that stuff, right? Like that. See, because of that, that's why Elden Ring exists.
This is a perfect segue into Monster Hunter, actually, because this is one of the things that annoyed me about the incredible success of World and Iceborne. Is like, oh, people are just jumping on the bandwagon, or they're just doing it because it's the hot thing. They're going to be gone. And it's like, I don't care what the reason is. If they're trying Monster Hunter, that's a good thing.
Yeah, it's a good thing.
Because, like, even if it's 5% of the players who stick around and fall in love with the franchise, that's 5% of a huge chunk of players who just found their next love of their life.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? That's a beautiful thing. Hell, Final Fantasy XIV is my favorite game of all time at this moment, and I only played it to get you to shut up. And now you're telling me not to play it. So people know on the podcast, when we start talking, every day you tell me stop playing. Like you're telling me not to play the game because I'm playing it at very unhealthy levels.
Okay, yeah, let's make that clear. I'm not telling you to quit the game. I'm telling you to not play it as hardcore. Yeah, because like people that have played MMOs, they'll understand why I'm doing that, because MMOs can be omega addictive, and particularly when it's your first one. Like I was addicted to World of Warcraft for God knows how long, unhealthy amounts of addiction. And, yes, I had fun, but it's also extremely unhealthy. And this is your first one.
When everything else in your life takes a backseat, then you know.
Yeah, exactly. So this is, I'm looking out for you. Okay, I want you to play the game, and I want to play the game
Monster
with
Hunter,
you.
you can binge that. It's 2 months of binging, but like this game, you can binge it all year. So stop it.
You can binge it all your life. Like there's people that binge this game all their lives, man. MMOs, if they're done right, you can binge it nonstop. But
but I totally agree with you. Yeah, like no matter what the reason, people should be very happy to see new players in there and supportive. And
But going back to that topic, and a lot of streamers and stuff are testing it out, and some of them, including big streamers, they're like, oh man, I don't like this game because there's not enough guidance. Including Asmongold, he made a video where. His editors made a video editing a bunch of clips from his stream where he was saying that he was going to quit. Since then, he said that he's probably not going to quit. But he said that he was going to quit because the game, just because of what you said, the game does not give you like a goal. It's like
anything,
do whatever you want. And I understand the pressure that a lot of people feel as someone who also streams, which is like, hey, you got to keep the stream interesting for the people that are watching. And if you're just exploring the map, is it really that interesting? And it's like, that's the thing. You have to be able to be interesting while you're just exploring the map. I hope I'm doing a good job of that on my playthrough, because I'm doing a lot of exploration. And I prepared people. I told them, listen, my playthrough probably going to be the slowest one you're going to see on YouTube. Like, people are going to be like on their final boss, and I'm going to be like, hey, I went back to Limgrave because I found this other thing again. I found a new dungeon, or I found a new, like, I kid you not, in between every episode, I go back to Stormvale Castle because there's one door that I haven't figured out how to get behind. There's literally, and I'm obsessed with it. I keep going back, and I'm exploring
this way, like
every nook and cranny.
Yuna did that whole dungeon. Yeah, she did that whole dungeon herself.
Yeah.
And I watched her as she played it, and she was in there for hours.
Yeah.
The thing is I got a new weapon, and I was like, I want to go to Stormville Castle and wreck some house, because there was one thing that she didn't kill. So I was like, I'm going to go kill it. I was in that castle for, I want to say, 4 hours, and not once did I run across any of the areas that she was at. Like, it was like a completely different map, because like she was doing like parkour across the like high up in the sky. I'm like, was that even the same dungeon? Because like I'm seeing completely different things here. It was so it's crazy.
It's wild, and I keep going back, and I feel like every episode I find something new about Stormvale, and I go back there and I record a little bit more in there. By the way, guys, I found this new thing in Stormvale. I feel like it's going to be the last episode. I'm going to be on the last boss, and I'm like, but guys, wait, I found something new in Stormvale.
No, what's funny is I didn't realize this is even more so than I think than the past Souls games. This is even more open in that regard. So like, I went on to Discord to tell you like what we were doing today, because I thought you had been playing it well more than we had. I thought
I was like, okay,
he's definitely. I was like, he definitely has seen this already, so I can give him some reactions. You're like, dude, shut up! I don't know what you're talking about.
Exactly.
I'm like, what? I'm like, we saw that in the first 3 hours. What are you talking about? And I'm like, oh, it's that type of game.
Yeah, it's wild. It's really wild. But I was just like, it was almost like Gaijin was trying to talk to me, like, no, stop.
Shut up.
But it was it was funny seeing that from a lot of people, and I hope that people don't give up on it, because here's the thing: there was a point in one of the episodes where I even felt like that. I felt like I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm lost. And on top of it, I was in an area that was particularly challenging, and I was like just getting my face beat, and I was like, I have no idea.
Getting lost in an area that you're,
and I'm lost, and it's like, so basically what I did was, I'm just gonna go someplace else. It's like, bye. It's like, I don't like this place. I'm leaving. Yeah. So the next episode, I'm just gonna go over here now and see what's happening over here. And it's like, oh, over here is better. Okay, this is good. And then but the way that I do it, right? You're talking about setting goals for yourself. I always do that. So like, I'll open up the map and I'll be like, okay, today we're going to go to this area, and I'm going to find the actual detailed map of this area. because you can find those if you look at the map even while it's uncovered. There's like a little icon that tells you where the map is. So I will basically just explore that thing up and down. It's like, oh, I found a dungeon. And then I'll go into the dungeon, do a little bit of dungeoning, then come back out and say, okay, back to that map. And sometimes those objectives might take like 1 episode. Other times it'll be like 3 episodes because I get sidetracked, I do something else. But that's the thing. I always have like one goal in mind for one thing that I want to do, and I keep progressing towards that. And it very rarely involves the Guidance of Grace. Like I did the Guidance of Grace to go to Stormvale. After I did Stormvale, I very rarely go after Guidance of Grace. I'm just like, I'm playing it like an old school Souls, which would mean explore everything before you move on to the next area. And that's going to take me like years almost, I think. I don't know how long. Like
so one of the design choices they made that I really like is that when you explore a certain area, if you find something, there's generally a checkpoint, like a warp spot that you can activate, which means that you know where you've explored because they slowly get marked on your map. So you can open up your map and you see a section that's any more than a few centimeters and there's no icon. You're like, there's something there that I haven't found. And you can generally get a gist of, okay, I'm going to go circle and check out the entire area. I'm sure I'm going to find a dungeon or something. Yeah. And so you can start attacking pockets of like, okay, we don't have any warp spots in this whole peninsula. Okay, there's a lot of stuff here. So I do like that a lot. And I love the fact that fast travel is unlocked from the get-go, because that's when the old Souls games got more fun for me, is when you could warp around. So like, it's great.
Yeah, it just feels good, and it feels like there's tons of exploration, but there's also tons of experimentation with the Ashes of War system. That's one of my favorite new things, and how you can just like change. And they've actually, I think they've improved on it even from the network test, because from the moment that you unlock like an Ash of War that it's like, okay, this is a magic Ash of War, you can instantly apply another Ash of War that maybe wasn't a magic type, but you can then put the magic modifier on top of it. And I'm just like, this is the best thing ever. This is amazing.
And if you really like it, you can duplicate it. There's a way.
Yeah, exactly. You can duplicate it so that you can have it on 2 weapons or on 3 weapons or however many you want. And
so I think when people are like, this is going to be the most accessible From Software game yet, I'm like, well, in some ways, but in some ways,
it's
like it's I don't know about that. But
an interesting thing that I think, and I'm not 100% sure on this, but I'm pretty sure the game actually scales. Like the open world stuff actually scales with your character, which I thought it didn't.
Does it?
Because listen, here's I was doing an event yesterday where this is a weird thing, but basically Bandai asked me to do this thing where I went and I got to meet a famous Portuguese actor / comedian / show host, and I got to hang out with him and teach him how to play Elden Ring, which I was like, oh, this is awesome. So when I was doing that, I ran into a boss that I hadn't ran into yet, and I thought that was weird because it was in an area very close to the starting zone. And I just ran into this boss, and I'm just like, I've been through this zone 30 times, never seen this boss before. But I was there with a level 10 character, and I start hitting the boss, and I'm looking at the damage that I'm dealing. And I was dealing about 133 damage per hit. And I was like, oh, this boss feels killable. Like I could kill this boss with this character with a little bit of practice. And then I go to my main character because obviously, okay, I know where this boss is now. I'm going to go there. And I go there and my character's like +6 weapon, axe, like beefed up with strength and all this. Considering that a level 10 character was dealing that damage and it felt killable, my main character would go in there and just like trounce it, destroy it in seconds. But no, I go in there and I'm like, oh, I'm doing like maybe 30 more damage than my other character, and the percentage of health that's going down doesn't feel tremendously different. So I suspect that stuff scales.
My guess, and this is something I've noticed because I play very different than Yuna does, and we use different weapons, which is why our stats are so bad. It's like, what's really funny though is we have like 30 in intelligence and 30 in strength.
I'm curious.
And then we find a weapon that is scaling to both those 2 stats. I'm like, perfect. We did it all right all along.
I am curious though. Why did you choose to do that instead of just like playing it co-op with her?
If you remember, I've mentioned before that she hates grind. She doesn't like it
that
when
way
she
you
feels
can
that
grind it for her.
when she feels that she's doing something repetitive. And I know that sounds funny because she loves Monster Hunter, and she's played like thousands of hours of Monster Hunter in the last year. It's because she's not doing the exact same thing. Like the fights are different every single time.
Yeah.
But when you're leveling or when you're collecting items or you are literally doing the same thing over and over again. And she hates that.
And in Souls games, you literally have to do the same thing twice if you're playing in co-op. You have to do the same boss twice. Once for you and once for me. She
absolutely hates it. Okay. So what happens is as the father of a gamer and as a father, I want her to keep her interest and be happy. Yeah. So I watch her as she plays and I'm playing, right next to her Final Fantasy. And I'm looking over and I start hearing sighs, or I know she put down the controller and now she's on her phone or something. I'm like, okay, she's hit a roadblock.
Yeah.
And then I'll casually pop the question. I was like, what you up to? She's like, I can't find this thing. I was like, do you want to find it on your own? Sometimes she's like, yes, don't find it. I'm like, okay. I put it in my hands she's like, don't touch this boss. It's mine. Okay. But then there's other points where she'll say like, this boss is annoying as shit. It's yours. And so she'll pass the boss to me. And then we'll take turns. And then it's also good for just not getting fatigued and giving your eyes a rest and everything. So like I will play it when she's watching and I'll be going off against a boss. And there's one boss that took me hours to kill, but I did. And she was really happy for me. And I was biting my teeth watching her fighting some bosses. And it's just, I found out it's funner that way.
Yeah.
Because one, I'm not making any content on Elden Ring, so I don't actually need to play the English version because all the voices are in English, even in the Japanese version. It's just subtitled. So I still get the story in English, which is what I wanted. But it is like, I generally want to play the English versions now because I don't understand any of the lingo of what people are saying because I know the Japanese names, not the English names. But Elden Ring, I'm not really going online and engaging people with it. So I don't need to know the English. So we just started out that way with me like, okay, let me help grind you. She's like, I got this weapon. I really want to use it, but I need 5 levels. What a pain in the ass. Ugh, I'm done today. And I'll be like, want me to get those 5 levels for you? Yes, please. And then I'll just go and I will, done, and drop the controller like a mic. And she's like, God damn. She's like, you really like labor, don't you? I was like, yeah, I do like.
You like
I
labor?
like the grind. Yeah.
I've actually been struggling a little bit with finding the smithing shards. Interestingly enough, that's one of the things that I haven't been very lucky with the ones that I've found. So it's like I find them, I just don't find the ones that I need. But yeah, I'm also refusing to look online to see where I can find them. So whatever. Eventually, I'll run into them, or I'll just keep beating bosses with weaker weapons. Like to give you an idea, I upgraded this hammer that I found. I was so happy because like for the first time in a Souls game, there's good-looking one-handed hammers. It's like
all the weapons look fantastic.
It never happens. Like usually, whenever you get a hammer, it's more like a mace or something, right? And it's like a proper hammer that's just like, like the Kirk hammer in Bloodborne. They don't make weapons like that in these games for some strange reason. And this one I found one and I was like, oh, this is super. It's just a friggin' a slab of stone on top of a stick. And it's just what I want. I want a slab of stone on top of a stick and I want to beat things with it. So I upgrade that thing as much as I possibly can. And then I find an axe and I'm like, oh, I like this axe too. And now I can't upgrade it. And so I'm fighting this boss with the hammer and I'm like, okay, this isn't working too well for me. I want to try out the axe. So one of the most challenging bosses that I've faced off so far, I ended up downgrading to a weaker weapon to beat him.
Yeah, so I was sorry. You just remind me of the point that I was trying to make, which because I do power leveling, so I would know if something scaled because I would see the change. Because I've been fighting the same enemies over and over again at level 30 and level 60.
Yeah, but I think it's bosses, not enemies.
Yeah, so what I think it is, or what it might be, is there's the different types of weapons, right? Like a blunt weapon,
slashing,
or
blunt,
a thrust. The difference between those is night and day.
Yeah.
Like if you're going off against a boss who's not that weak to, let's say, a thrust, but is weak to impact or whatever, like the difference is like double damage. It's like, whoa. So my guess is maybe you were using a weapon of a different type?
Nope. It was a sword and an axe. So they were both slashing weapons.
Weird then. I don't. Yeah, because I mean, I've seen Yuna go at the boss at different levels, and I never noticed scaling. But then again, maybe it only scales at the extremes. You know, like once you're 20 levels above,
because
or something like that. I don't know.
Because like I said, it's like I still did more damage than I did on the lower level character, but it was like 30 damage, which is nothing in the grand scheme of things, right? So I don't know. But it's like
so I was gonna say that the way we're playing it, just so you know, final comment. All major story bosses are Yuna's. I can't touch. I'm not allowed to fight them. All major story dungeons are Yuna's. She has to be the one who does the first clear through it. So I'm the cleanup guy.
You do the side content.
I'm the janitor. I do the leveling. I do some of the harder
it's an
optional bosses.
Yeah.
What I do is I run around the map and I populate the map with warp spots. I find all the warp spots, but I don't do most of the content around there. I leave it for her to deal with. And if I run into a boss that I really want to fight, I'd be like, look at this guy. Can I kill him? And she'll be like, no. Or she'll be like, yeah, go kill him. And that's how we do it.
I will say though, I feel like she's missing out because there's at least to me, maybe it's a me thing. There's so much joy in not grinding, but just like exploring, like discovering things out in the world. I found so many different things. I feel like every single session that I sit down and record, there's always something in one of those sessions that I'm just like, what? This is amazing. Like, and there's always one of those magical moments where I find something that gets me smiling. And a lot of them this time around have been about weapons because usually, because I'm big into fantasy dwarves, so I like those hammers, axes.
Yeah.
And usually those take a back seat in favor of swords and stuff like that. Swords are always the thing they go to. And this time around, I've actually found quite a few axes and hammers that have made me really, really happy. And with the Ashes of War, you can basically give new life to the same weapon that you already have. Because you're like, okay, now this thing deals poison damage. Ha-ha. Okay, now it deals lightning damage. Ha-ha. And it still scales with strength. It's like, this is fantastic. I love it.
I know how to kill a little piece of your spirit by telling you something. It's just going to crush you.
Why would you do
when
this?
She's running through like a castle, like the first one.
Oh, no.
She's into clearing rooms. That's what she likes to do.
Okay.
She likes to slowly but surely go through and clear out every enemy in the room.
This is good.
And if there's an item, it's an afterthought. She'll just jam Y as she's running by. She won't even look at what she got half the time. I just want to say, I'm going to crush her soul a little bit with this one. So sometimes she's like, oh, how did I get that? Because she's not looking. She's just jamming a Y like, brrr, like, okay, I got something. Her objective is I'm going to clear the room and anything that's shiny, I'm going to pick up. Am I going to look at it?
At
Maybe
least
not.
she picks it up.
Yeah, that's it. She likes to clear the room and she likes to do it exactly one time. If she has to clear a room multiple times, she's like, no, I'll just screw it. The good thing is she can just run past it at that point. But she likes to clear stuff. So it's quite funny that the exploration works really well for me, but maybe not as much for her. She likes finding shortcuts and stuff like that, like the sense of discovery, but the items and the loot isn't actually the thing for her. It's really interesting that she's such a very different gamer than me in some ways. And it's really complementary in a way, and this is why we're playing the same character. It's kind of interesting.
It works.
I don't know how many other people do that, but it works perfect because we don't have interest in doing the same stuff.
If you're playing it like that, it most definitely works. Usually when I play it with friends, it's like we'll just do co-op. So I'll jump on my character, my friends jump on theirs, and off we go. But yeah, I haven't done a whole lot of co-op. I played a little bit of co-op on PS5, just test it out and play around with a friend of mine. And I think I screwed up my. I was trying to do a mage character. I suck at playing magic, and here's the thing: I suck at it, and I don't even like it. That's the worst part. I suck at it, and I don't like it.
Yeah, Yuna's a magic player. She's the astrologian or whatever. It's astrologer.
I was trying to force myself to play it like that on PlayStation, and I think I screwed up because the person who was teaching me spells is gone, and I'm just like, oh no, this is bad. I think I might have killed her in a different location. I don't know.
Oh no,
because I didn't know it was her, and I don't know what happened. I was like, well,
I know exactly who you're talking about. We nickname her the ugly one.
Oh wow, okay. I mean, hey.
But the thing is, I don't even know if we can see her face. So her actual face. So I don't.
Yeah,
know
you don't know.
If we can call her the other one. Yeah, she could be a beaut. But it's real. Oh, I guess the funny thing is, me and Yuna are also worshippers of Marika. So it's like anytime we run across Marika statues or anything, we always pray. We pray. She does emotes and she screams Marika, Mari, and like it's funny. So Marika is the overbearing waifu in the game, who's basically everywhere. So
I don't know if she's the overbearing wife or not. She's mentioned in the intro, but I don't know.
I asked this. I was like, "Is this a waifu or is this last boss?" And Yuna's like, "Probably both." I'm like, "Yeah, probably."
A little bit of A, a little bit of B.
Who knows?
Nobody knows.
So and it's really funny as the characters we like are different. So I really like the it's a meme and I can't even remember the term because the term's different in Japanese. Maiden?
The maidens?
Is it maiden? Like, oh, you don't have a maiden.
Oh, yeah. She just call her a maiden. Let's not get into too many details about the characters.
Okay, yeah. So I like that character a lot.
Yeah.
And Yuna really likes the little like gothic girl that showed up at the first Citadel with 4 hands and 4 feet or whatever she had. She almost looks like a gothic Lolita type of dressed up doll type of girl.
Oh, yeah. Mm.
She really likes her and she wants to meet her again. She's like, she's got more than 2 arms. I'm like, yes.
Yeah, that's.
And then
I imagine like I've seen an interview with George R. R. Martin where it's like, yeah, when I wrote these characters, this is not what I had in mind at all. Like they did some really weird stuff. These guys, I just imagine Miyazaki going like, okay, so this guy right here, yeah, we're gonna give him like 6 more arms, and George R. R. Martin's like, what do you mean?
Wow.
And he just goes like,
yeah, because
because
he didn't design the game. He just gave them a really interesting story treatment.
He didn't even give him he didn't give him story, just lore. The story was written by From Software.
Just the setting.
Yeah, setting.
the backbone.
And so it must have been interesting for George R. R. Martin to be like, what are you doing? And Miyazaki's like, actually 10 arms. 10 arms is what we'll do. And also he's going to be disfigured. And he's like, stop. Why? George R. R. Martin, what are you doing to my characters?
He seems like he's really enjoying what they did to it though. He's made some fun tweets.
But it's yeah, I like it.
I will end my thoughts on Elden Ring with the fact that there was a tweet that I really liked, and it's like stating the obvious, but not many people think about it this way. But it's like, just because a game got like a 10 or a high score on a rating doesn't mean that anybody can play it and enjoy it. It doesn't mean that at all. Like, it just means that if this is your thing, if this is what you are going for, then you are going to be very happy because it's very well made. So I hate this whole like review score, like,
this is one of the reasons why even when I do make a review, which I haven't made one, I made like an opinion video because I haven't finished the game. I wouldn't do a review without finishing it. But even when I do make like a full-on scripted review, I still won't score a game because I think that scores they're not that informative of what people might like. Because some people they see a high score and they're like, I'm gonna love this game, and it's like, no, I'll tell you, you'll like this game if you like this, you won't like this game if you don't like this. Okay.
Yeah, there are players who will detest this game and hate it, and that's fine.
And that to me is much more valuable information. It's like, I rate this game 8 out of 10. Like, what does that mean? 8 out of 10. And nowadays, for most people, if it's below a 7 out of 10, it's complete garbage. Apparently, it's unplayable. It's like it's a weird thing. Like scores.
But then they're like, finally, a reviewer who knows the game really well. I'm like, okay, maybe for like a sequel or a game that's directed towards like fans, but like if it's just a brand new IP or game, then having people who don't. It's always made me wonder why news media don't do. I think the review quality of Famitsu here in Japan is crap. I think the reviewers themselves, it's just way too predictable what they're going to say. But their idea, their system is great. They have 4 reviewers review a game. And it's the aggregate score of those reviews that decides what they rate it, whether it's a platinum, gold. And there's a buffer, so they don't care about like, okay, was it 38 or 39? No. It's a platinum rating. Like we thought it was great. Yeah. But they'll have reviewers on there where you'll have like a score of 10, 8, 5. And there'll be one person who hated it or didn't like it. And they will talk a little bit about why or what was frustrating for them. And it's a little controversial because it brings down the score, but it gives you a different perspective.
Yeah.
And you get to know the reviewers and you get to know what games they like and which ones they don't. Where I kind of wonder why Western media doesn't have 2 reviewers for one title. 1, it would mean more clicks, but 2, it'd be kind of interesting to say, here's someone who's already been in these games, and here's someone who's never played them before. Let's get their take, like that could be interesting.
I don't know. It's like one of the reasons why is because in general gaming is not taken nearly as seriously as other things. So it's like a lot of it's funny. It's funny, and it's to a certain extent, it is valid to criticize reviewers, and because sometimes they'll do a poor job. There've been even instances of people that have been doing reviewing work and they're basically plagiarizing other people and whatnot. So that it is valid to criticize them, and there's a lot of things to be told about this. But it also should be noted that sometimes there's a lot of reviewers that it's basically they're expected to take the game home and play it home. And for a lot of people, like, well, they get the game early. Yeah, this is their
job.
This is their job, and they're literally just like taking their job home. And it's like, look, that's what I do, right? I take my job home with me a lot of times. Like, I'll be home and I'll be editing stuff that I download from Twitch, or I'll be taking notes for a video. Or like, for instance, right now, it's 1 a.m. It's 1 a.m. We're recording a podcast, right? So I'm just saying that it's not a particularly healthy industry when you have reviewers basically taking their job home because, the people in the publications that they're working for, they're like, yeah, we need this thing reviewed in like a week. And it's not conducive to a good review, which is why I was like, I'm not going to burn through Elden Ring just to pump out a review. I'm going to enjoy my time with this game. And, when I say my opinion on it, it's going to be what it's gonna be. It's
a little weird, isn't it? Like movies, I don't know why. Like movie ratings were a thing, but for some reason, games try to mimic it, which makes no sense because movies are going to be, for the most part. I mean, there is some difference between the way you watch it, like if it's a big screen or living room or surround audio or not or whatever. But in general, it's a tailored experience. You're going to see the same thing that the other person is going to see. Yeah. But in a game, like your experience is going to be so vastly different, and so there's no way that one reviewer is going to have the exact same opinion that you're going to have. It's just find a reviewer who you either like share taste with or don't, or just someone who's very interesting to read, and just try to take from that what you want. But like, I don't know.
One of the things that I liked a lot a while back. I haven't really watched it in a while. Was Giant Bomb would do these things where I think they called it a quick look, and it would be like 2 of their staff. They would be like playing. One of them would be playing the game, and the other one would be providing additional commentary while the other one was showcasing the game. And I was like, this is an amazing format. I actually tried to replicate it when I was working for broadband TV, but it was hard because like these would be two people in the same physical location, and I would be doing it with like people that were in America, and you know the latency and the conversation, it becomes very hard. But like that type of content, I actually thought this is really cool because like you have someone who's put like, I don't know, 10 hours into the game, and you have someone who's like looking at it for the first time. And so you have someone who's asking stuff about it, and then you have someone who's got the answers, and it creates a dynamic that is very, very informative. And that I thought was really, really good content. And, you know, the thing is, it's also easier to produce content because it doesn't require to, you know, let me type out a review and now let's record video
between two people
and B-roll and all of these things. Like you just put two people together, they talk about the game, boom, done. And that was, you know, I just really like that. And I wish that there was more stuff like that because I even feel like traditional reviews, they don't really serve as much of a purpose as depending on the review, of course, but a lot of times it's just like it all boils down to what's the score? Is it an 8 out of 10?
Yeah.
Is it something out of 100? And, you know, and people get like one blurb at the end where they try to say something that is sticky, like this game has so many visceral moments that it's going to blow your mind. It's
the Dark Souls of morning coffee.
The Dark Souls of breath of the breath of the wild of Dark Souls.
Yeah.
Something. Exactly.
But I will say, like, when it comes to reviews, there's two. Like, I don't watch reviews to decide if I'm going to buy something. Like, I watch them because I watch it after I play a game because it's entertaining to hear how other people experienced it. It's more of a shared experience thing. Yeah. But the two, like, reviews, so to say, that I really enjoy is one, girlfriend reviews. I love those. Have you seen that? That channel is golden.
Yeah, I've seen it.
They're great because it's funny because, like, she'll be like, he loves all this. He's having a good old time. And they'll have a clip of him going, oh, man, look at that. She's like, this is dumb as shit. Like, you know, like, yeah. But it's like, you know, she also plays games as well. So it's kind of funny when they do like, I like this. He hated it. He hated it. I love it. And then she does the ones where she spectated and she's like, how does it feel to watch someone play this game? Yeah, it kind of sucks, you know, like, or it's actually really cool and stuff like that. So like, I really love their videos. And I think if there's any, like the traditional, like, let me tell you, like the back of the box, what's the game, what's the features, what's in it, here's what we thought type of, you know, traditional review. I think the only ones that I really listen to just for fun is Easy Allies.
Oh yeah, Easy Allies is really good. I haven't listened to them a whole lot since Kyle Bossman left because I really liked Kyle Bossman. I miss him in the podcast, but I used to listen to their podcast all the time.
Yeah, they're fun to listen to, and
they've been around.
They have varied opinions.
They were the ones
game
in
trailers,
freaking
right?
Game Trailers. Yeah, GameTrailers.com.
Yeah.
I remember
and
back
those
in
were
the
my
day.
favorite reviews.
That was like the big website to look for. Like whenever something new was coming out, it was on Game Trailers.
What's the one guy? Is it Brandon? I can't remember his name, but
Brandon Jones, the guy who
reads
the
narrating.
Jones.
His voice is so damn good.
Yeah, he's got voice. One of those movie voices.
It sounds like a high produced voice, but it's also very. He's not the one scripting it, right? Like, so he's reading someone's script, but he makes it sound like he wrote it, and he's
a very
and
good
delivering
reader.
is so. He's really good at narrating. I really love his voice. So like when I found out, I was like, where did the Game Trailers guy go to? Easy Allies. I'm sold. But it's cool because they kind of get in a room and they'll do the same thing. They'll shoot off different opinions about stuff. Like, oh yeah, not a fan. Oh man, I love this stuff. You guys are missing out, and I just love that kind of thing.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, I guess where we're getting with this, guys, is that look, Elden Ring, for me, amazing game, might not be amazing for everyone. Has performance issues. Obviously, we've talked about those. I wish it didn't. I wish they would have delayed it even more, maybe, so that it wouldn't have performance issues. That would have been a lot better.
I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah, it's weird. I'm an Xbox Series. I could just be wrong. Maybe it has the same issues, and I just don't know. I don't know. But I haven't had nothing like the network test.
The user
the network
score,
test was painful for me.
when I last checked, the user score was highest on PlayStation 5. So PC had the lowest one and Xbox was the second. So like PC had a 5.6 user score out of 10. Xbox was like 6 point something, and PlayStation was 7.6.
Yeah, but user reviews is just fanboyism and how many people can go and bomb it. It's like, I give this 0 points. It's like, that's a good review.
Yeah, I mean, people are protesting though, and I can understand. Like, imagine you buying a game and the game is like barely playable. Like, if you've seen, I don't know if you've seen the Cool Carnage clips, like I was mentioning earlier, but like the game just legit freezes.
Yeah, I've seen the PC, and the PC looks like it's bad. So I hope they.
I mean, I'm playing on PC, and I haven't had anything as bad as like the game just outright freezing in the middle of a boss fight. I've had like I think one crash. And I do have the occasional drops that are problematic if you're in the middle of a boss fight. But it's not something that I'd be like, oh, it's literally unplayable, can't even. Like, I'm still playing just fine. But yeah, it is in not a good condition. Let's put it like that.
Yeah, it's weird. I was bitching about the game's performance in the network test, but 30 hours in and I haven't had one little hiccup. Not one thing that has ever stuck out to me and made me feel weird about it. So I'm like, I don't know what happened. Maybe I'm using the right weapon. I don't know. I don't like, but I'm having a good time.
Xbox is the way to go, it seems.
But this, I don't know. Like, I mean, well, Xbox has the best and the worst, right? It's like depending on which console you have, you get the full spectrum. You get the lowest end and you get usually the highest end. But then again, optimization is generally, will lean towards PlayStation, but I don't know. I'm having a darn good time, and things are going good. So,
I just hope they can figure it out and fix the performance issues. Because other than that, the game, I'm gonna be playing this game for an ungodly amount of hours. Let's just put it like that.
Yeah, I thought I was just gonna put it off, but now that I can cheat my way through, I could still remain addicted to Final Fantasy before Sunbreak comes out. Because this is my opportunity,
Yeah.
And I can sort of cheat my way into enjoying Elden Ring alongside and helping my daughter through points where she's not really interested because she hates, like, what's really weird? She hates fog. I'm like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Like, the foggy areas to me are atmospheric. I love them.
I'm not
total stressful.
I don't think it's stressful, but I don't. Here's the thing. I also live in an area that if it happens to be a little bit colder in the morning, it's foggy as hell, and I hate it. So it's like when I see it in games, I only want like, can we clear up? Can we get like good weather now, please? And especially because the game looks so good when there's like sun shining. There's like, God, this game looks so damn good. And then it's like, here comes the fog, and no, I don't want the fog. Make it go away.
Yeah, but yeah, so it's gonna be fun, and I'm just we're in standby phase for Sunbreak.
Yeah,
we're in holding position, and
we're in a holding pattern.
Very anxious.
Funny thing happened today. So I went to the PC side of things to see if it got the update to get the rest of the stuff. I think it probably did get the update like on the 24th or something. But obviously, since Elden Ring came out, a lot of people that would be playing Monster Hunter are probably playing Elden Ring right now, I would imagine. And here's an interesting message that I was greeted with. Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak is a massive expansion that is available now. It's like, wait, what? Excuse me. What's going on? I guess I was in Elden Ring a little bit too long. I missed the release of Sunbreak. But it turns out
they had a fun area.
Yeah, the Monster Hunter account had already tweeted saying, "Yeah, this was the Palicos. There were some Palicos got in the keyboard." It's just like, whoops. So no, Sunbreak is actually not out yet, guys. But the PC,
you know what they're thinking? They're thinking, "Oh my God, thank God we didn't mention anything about the story in these notices."
Yeah,
it's just totally generic, and it's like, woo, dodged a bullet there. That was funny.
But it's like the PC version's actually all caught up now. And I think it'll probably be remaining caught up all the way through. I mean, I think there's even an event there that I haven't done yet because I've just been neck deep into Elden Ring and I haven't had the time.
Yeah.
But Yeah, I'm looking.
We're saving it for that 1 week before Sunbreak comes. We're saving everything.
I haven't God,
I have not played the game for weeks, and I've seen everything, and I'm like, ooh, but we're just saving it.
Apex Xenogre was a little bit. I mean, Apex Emergency Xenogre was a little bit more challenging, but I beat him. I beat his ass. I think I got like one cart on the video that I made. It was either my first or my second try. I think it was my first try. I beat him on the first try, actually. But yeah, it was because I was collecting birds. Just go collect some birds and become all OP. Oh yeah, and I used everything. Like I used the
well, then you deserve to win. You used all your tools.
Like I used the sleep toad, the blast toad, everything that was on that map. I threw it at him. I was just like, die. I don't care. Blow up. But yeah, that was fun. I put that video up as well. But I think potentially at some point I want to do another stream where I just go through all of the events on PC as well. But there's so many, dude. There's so many events.
Yeah, there's a lot now. Yeah, they've really picked up steam. It's great.
Yeah, it's if you
saw, like they have a really snazzy like white suit dress type of armor that they added in recently. It looked really nice.
Oh, is it like you can get it in game, or is it like cosmetic DLC stuff that you don't know?
I think it's tied to an event quest. I think like you do the quest and you get it.
It might be that quest that I saw was like Xin and Xiang or something along those lines. Yeah, there was a new quest that I didn't recognize. I was like, oh, I haven't done this one yet. Got to get back in here and get that out of the way. But yeah, and Monster Hunter is just playing around with white shelling. I've become so addicted to white shelling. It's such a satisfying place. I was just like going in there, staying right in the monster's face nonstop. Boom, boom. It's brutal. And it lets me play with Elemental. Go for it.
This should lead us down an interesting Monster Hunter topic tunnel. What are your thoughts on the 2 new characters from Randine's Country being added as paid DLC voices and them giving away the sort of template, like, hey, go into Character Create and do these settings and you can look like them?
Did they do that, or do you mean if they were to?
No, they've done it.
They've because I haven't been paying attention to it.
So what was her name in English? Like it's Pache, I think in Japanese, but I think it's Pax.
Selva.
But like there's,
I remember something about a Selva.
It's the girly girl who's like, oh, what are we doing? Die, and she gets all aggressive at the end. And then you had also this daughter? I'm so behind of Fugen's niece, daughter, cousin, the girl who punches out Arzaros's.
Again, I've been living in an Elden Ring bubble.
I mean, that was months ago though. But I mean, like they introduced like a new character.
Was that when they added that that guy, Jared something? Forget. No, never mind. But yeah, I think I remember. There was a lot of like voice packs that were added at the same time.
Yeah, but the thing is, like it's a voice pack, but it's like this is a character that's going to appear in Sunbreak. This is a character that was listed in the encyclopedia. This is one of Randine's fellow knights. Like this is a major character.
How do I feel about them selling their voices as DLC and giving you the presets to,
or like even not just those two, but like even like Fugen's. I want to say niece, and I could be totally wrong here, but she was like, they talked about her in the game, how she, the cat said, she's punched out and killed a Narzaros with her bare fist, and she's a brave fighter. And then we're all like, oh my God, I want to meet Fugen's niece or whatever. Like, we were all excited. And then they're like, okay, here's what she looks like. So go into your Character Create and you do these settings and you'll look like her. And then you can purchase her voice. Like, what are your thoughts on that?
I mean, it's like, on the one hand, I'm not a big fan of it because I feel like I don't want to see, it's an immersion thing, right? To me, if it's an NPC, I want them to be represented by the NPC, and I'm not a huge fan of seeing another player that looks exactly like that NPC. It's not a big deal either. It's like if I had the choice, I'd be like, I'd rather not have this, But ultimately, I don't care that much about it. It doesn't affect me because I
Yeah.
like my characters to be, a visual representation of my avatar in the world. And so I wouldn't change I didn't change my voice to Fugen's voice when that came out, right? Because I already had like a deep sounding voice in my character. I'm like, yeah, this works. This is fine. But it doesn't affect me too much. So I guess I'm a little bit neutral on it. If I had the choice to be like, I would rather not have that, but it's not really a big deal. It's like,
I
how
feel
do you
weirdly
feel about
split
it?
on this. I feel weird about this one. Like, I generally like most of the things they do in Monster Hunter, but this one is just like, I know they sold. It's not the fact that it's sold DLC. That's actually not the part that bothers me so much. Even though I do think that Rise went a little overboard
Yeah,
with paid DLC. I would feel weird to not recognize that. So like, I bought the voices for Hinoa and Minoto, and for me and we use those, and we had a lot of fun. And it's great because they're established characters that you know and love, and you want to sort of like cosplay as them and sort of, be like them or whatever. Like that I think is cool because it respects the character. Um but when you take a character that you haven't met yet and your first meeting of them is, here's a template for you to go create what they would look like,
yeah,
and here's their voice, it's like, wow, so you don't care at all about it's doing a disservice to the character, in my opinion. Like, I really think it really just, ugh, I don't like the idea, the just the general execution of it. It's like, I want to meet and like, I want to know these characters, and so I was kind of concerned. I'm like, wait, are we not going to meet these characters in Sunbreak? Because, like, why would you introduce them the very first time as a template for a character to create instead of an actual character? Luckily, they did tweet that they are going to appear in Sunbreak, so that's great, and I'm very happy about that. So that concern's gone. It's still a weird way to have your first exposure to a character is, here's their voice and personality, even though you've never met them and you don't know what they are.
yeah.
It's
I guess like
eh.
recreating the characters is, after you've met them is a little bit different. Like I said, I still prefer to just like, no, here's my characters and then here's the players. And I would
Yeah,
like
because now,
this
like,
to
when
be.
we meet him in Sunbreak, it's like, oh, it's the character creation, the optional
What about
voice and looks,
what
and
about
now
the
she's made into
people?
a character.
What about the people that already created that character? And they're, oh look, it's my twin.
Yeah, you copied me.
I mean, but then again,
I mean,
people
yeah,
do some weird stuff sometimes with Monster Hunter. So it's like I don't know.
yeah. Like, I just try to think, like, let's say someone like Rondine. Can you imagine if your first time ever meeting Rondine was, here's a new character voice for your character creator, and if you change your looks like this, then you can pretend that you are some foreigner inside of Kamuda. And then you have that, and then like half a year later, they're like, oh, this is an actual character you're going to meet now. It's just weird. It's just, I don't know. I like, you gotta, if they're meant to excite people for Sunbreak, then one, don't make it paid DLC. Like, make it
Yeah,
available through a quest, is my opinion. And two, respect the character a little bit more. Like, introduce them at least in a small cutscene or something. Like, so we actually meet them and we're cosplaying as them, and now they are the manifestation of our cosplay, which is really weird to me. I mean, I'm
yeah.
overthinking it,
You are.
I can care less, because in the end of the game, it doesn't mean anything for the game. So it's like,
Yeah,
it doesn't change my feelings about how much I love the game, but I just think it's a really weird execution that I would not be sad if they stopped doing in Sunbreak, because it's just weird and I'm not interested in it. But I was kind of
yeah.
curious about your take on it.
But yeah, it's again. I feel similar. Like I think it's a little bit weird, and overall, it's just not something that I personally engage with that much. Like trying to recreate characters that already exist in the game. As a matter of fact, I almost wish that more characters had like unique looks that couldn't straight up be replicated with the character creator. Like for instance, look at Fugen, right? You can't make Fugen in the character creator; it's impossible
Yeah, do you
because he's
know
got like
actually that's the reason why I didn't buy the cosmetic DLC for the haircut of Minoto and Hinoa, or
because you
Hinoe in
can't
English. Wait,
actually
what is it in English? Hinoa.
Hinoa.
Sorry, yeah, it's Hinoe in here in Japan, so I get tripped up.
Yeah.
Um, but like, we use their voice and we dress like them, but we're we're like their cousin.
You're
We're
doing
like
cosplay. You're not trying to replicate the character itself. Yeah.
Yeah. So like when I found out that months later they finally decided to sell their hairstyle, I'm like, I'm not buying that. That would feel wrong. I don't want to become them. I love them as a character. Like I'm fine I'm fine getting 90% of the way of channeling my Minato energy and then having that 10% be me. You know, I don't need to mimic them, but whatever. I mean, as an option, great, but those are great goodies that they could have given away for some quests, you know, like the Super All Mother could have unlocked those hairstyles. That would have really incentivized a lot of people to get back on and put in the time to do those types of quests, you know. So I kind of think they went overboard with some DLC this time.
Yeah,
I like the stickers. So it's not the fact that they're giving stickers and stamps. I love those.
A lot of people
That's
don't.
all.
A lot of people don't like the stickers. Yeah.
But the very best content they have though is just not there as rewards, which is kind of a shame.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens in Sunbreak, but
the challenge is still there with some of these Apex emergency quests. So those have been really fun whenever I did them in the last couple of live streams. And
the ones I played I loved.
Yeah. Those are cool. I plan on doing those whenever I have more time because timing has been insanity. Like the amount of stuff that I've been having to do. Like to give you an idea, even earlier this morning.
Publishing games, guys.
No, it wasn't even the games. It's just like real life. I just have stuff to do. Like this morning, I went with my kids to school because there was like a parade because it's a carnival week in Portugal. So the kids dress up and stuff, and they were just like having a blast. And so I went to the parade, of course, because you know. And yeah, that and a bunch of other stuff that has been happening throughout the week where I've been like, oh, I got to go here, do this, got to go there and do that, got to go do this thing, got to go do that thing. And it's like, I just want to sit down and play more Elden Ring and just get like completely addicted to it. Oh, man. But yeah.
So I think I will, because I know we'll have to wrap up soon. I will end this with a really funny conversation, which is all you want to do is go play Elden Ring. And I'm doing everything in my power to make you play another game. I got on.
Here we go.
So I got on Discord on our message, and I messaged you, and I know that you're just like, because the other day you were like, you logged on, and you're like, oh, I'm gonna play some Elden Ring. You're like, no, you're coming in. We're doing this raid, and we forcibly pulled you into Final Fantasy.
That wasn't Elden Ring. I was doing something else.
Okay, that was something else. I think it was Horizon.
Yeah, that was Horizon.
But that was funny. And then, like, so we keep trying to pull you away from Elden Ring to do something else. But then the other day, I contacted you and I said, I've got a question for you, and you're like, what?
And here's the thing. I was going to record Elden Ring right before you.
I know, yeah. Because I knew you had stuff to do, and I got really selfish. And it's the culture of now.
Yes.
And I said, Rory, I have a very important question for you. And you're like, what? And I'm like, will you marry me? And you said, what the fuck? Like, tell me to what the hell, dude? What? I'm like, in Final Fantasy 14, if you get married to somebody, you get these really nice cosmetic outfits, and I'll pay for it. So let's get married, Vegas style, like right. And you're like, what? And I'm like, right now, like log in, let's get married. I'll buy the rings and we'll do it. You're like, oh my god, dude. And so I guilt tripped him into.
And the best part was that I was telling you. Remember how I was telling you? Listen, if we do that, we have to invite people because it's a ceremony. There's cutscenes. There's all of these things that take place.
Yeah, and there's like, gifts, and I'm like, nope.
Let's do it right now.
So I actually have a video that I will be producing for my channel. It's just I'm holding it. So I was thinking about doing like part 1, part 2, but now I'm thinking maybe, like just have it as one video.
Yeah,
I'll
you should have it
some
as
pretty
one.
heavy editing on it.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna wait. I'm just gonna hold on it. But yeah, I literally pulled you off of the games that you wanted to play, and I sent you. It was like 14, 15 euros for that. But
I don't know.
I bought wedding bracelets, and I sent you one, and then you give it to each other, and there's a whole scene, and
Quest,
and I'm like,
I drove you around on the regalia. I drove you around on the regalia.
He's taking Bromance to a whole new level.
Yes.
and you're like, he's just using me for an outfit for his Reaper.
For a dress. You just wanted
for a dress.
The wedding gown for the
dress.
Reaper.
Yeah, because you can dye it if you get the premium wedding, but it's a whole cutscene. I'm like, this would be really funny content, and it's not something that you would normally see, right? Like,
yeah,
not many people are going to pay the money to have the most extravagant wedding in the game.
And
so I was like, the video will probably cover some of the costs. Let's do it. So like, but the thing is I thought you can get married like right there and then, but there's like a whole quest, which we did. And then you have to like go to the wedding planner and set a date. And I'm looking through this list. I'm like, Ruri, this is screwed up. You're like, what? I'm like, so we have a choice between Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And it's only one slot per month. And you're like, what? Because it's an instanced area. Like it's a public area that they have to block out for 2 hours for a wedding. And there's up to 80 guests. So they can't have that very specific area be available at all times, right? So they have blocks and you reserve your wedding. And so I'm like, it's like March 7th, it's April 7th, May 7th, and you're like, oh my God. And we're going through there because we're in different time zones. So I'm trying to like, it was displaying a time for me that was different for you, even though it was the same option. And so we're sitting there fumbling around trying to figure out the times and the dates. And I'll tell you right now, the wedding decorations, the way we have it, is going to look really good. Like it's fancy.
You sound exactly like a bride, dude. It's like, oh my God, I planned this.
And so, and then I'll divorce you the next day, and that'll be a video.
Oh, that's how it is.
No,
just using me for the dress.
In the game.
I'm glad you did all the research. I have no idea how any of this works.
If I can ever get you to actually play with me again on Final Fantasy, I think we'll be able to warp to each other for free, which is really actually really good.
That's actually substantial. Useful. Yes,
that will pay for the wedding rings in Gil, like from not having to pay to travel. So we're sitting there, and so we choose a date that we think matches the time discrepancy between the two of us.
You clicked a date which was wrong, and then we got the wrong date, and then we tried picking a new one and it didn't work.
And then we realized the actual crux of the issue. You're like, wait a second. And this is after like 20, 30 minutes of confusion. Wait a second. Wait. You're like, why is it the exact same date every month, but a different day of the week? That makes no sense. Oh my God, Gaijin, you American. This is European dates.
Why are you so American, Gaijin?
I'm seeing stuff like 4/3, and I'm like, that's April 3rd. And you're like, no, that's March 4th.
The weird part is that this was at the start of the month, so it's only showing us like dates that are close to this, so it never went above 12. Because if it was a little bit later, you'd be like, what the hell? It says here month 24. What is this?
That would make sense. So yeah, it was really funny. So we screwed it up, and we figured out that no, it's you have to reserve the wedding a week in advance. It's a 2-hour slot. But once you cancel your reservation, you have to wait a week before you can make a new one.
Yeah.
So we have to wait a few more days before we can book another one, which will be in another week. So, yeah, I'm engaged, guys. I'm sorry, I'm taken.
Yeah,
it's a good thing It's a good thing I'm a single father. I get married in my MMOs.
Yeah, see.
Yeah, I'm just using him for the dress.
Yeah, see, I'm married in real life. I'm not sure how my wife's gonna respond to this.
Yeah, who are you talking to at 1 in the morning? My virtual wife. Her name is Adam. No. Her name is Lily. She's like, who the hell's Lily?
Her name is Adam.
Oh my God.
But it's like, hey, listen, if she gives me any lip, you know what I'll say? I'll be like, listen, I try to get you to play this game. You always told me no. So I went ahead and I married somebody else. It is what it is.
Oh my gosh, it's so funny because I thought like you would have already done this before, like just like pair up with a friend and say, let's get married so we can get the outfit. As I care about the glamour. Like, I know that's the true end game, and it really is.
I was going to for the mount. I wanted a 2-seater mount. Since then, I now have a 4-seater mount already and another 2-seater mount that I have, so I don't need the 2. But it was like, I wanted to do it for the mount, and I had a friend who was going to do it, but she married somebody else. And then she left my server. Along. She married somebody else, and then she left.
So is this why you've been trying to get me to play Final Fantasy? I knew it.
Exactly. You know the best part about this whole story is that I remember when I was telling you about the different features of Final Fantasy, I remember at one point I said, people even get married in this game. There's an actual thing where you can have a ceremony and people can get married. And you were just like, what? Yeah, but I would never marry you. And I was like, well, I wasn't asking. But
wait, did I actually say that?
You actually said, well, I wouldn't want to marry you. That would be weird. And I was like, I wasn't asking. I was just telling you that people get married.
And now I'm like, hey, Rory, let's be weird.
It's just like, it's really funny because you specifically said the words, I would never want to marry you. That would be weird. And I was like, well, I wasn't asking.
Hey, man, people aren't lying. Glamour is the end game of FF.
Let me tell you something. Final Fantasy changes a man.
I love it.
Anyway, guys, that is going to be it for today's episode of the Third Fleet podcast. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. If you did enjoy it, hit it up with a like. And if you are on the Chaos Data Center, I'll let you guys know somehow when the whole thing is going to happen. We'll try to send out invitations if possible. But yeah, we'll see you guys in the next one. Stay strong, stay safe.
And happy not review bombing because you didn't like a game.